attention to a very major development that could actually reshape Ghana's trade landscape. And we're talking about the Ghana-China zero tariff deal. Now, President Mahama hinted, I think a few days ago, about a week ago or two, that by the end of this month, Ghana and China will finalize an agreement that will see selected Ghanaian exports enter the Chinese market tariff-free. Now, supporters say that this is actually a very bold move that could boost exports, create jobs, and also deepen economic ties. But others are asking, will this actually or truly give Ghanaian business a competitive edge, or could it worsen our trade imbalance with China? Now, this morning, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We're going to look at the opportunities, the risks, and the realities behind this deal. Is it a game changer for our economy? Is it what our economy needs, or a missed opportunity in the making? And joining me for this conversation is Dr. Samuel Worlanyo Mensah. He's a senior economist at Greater Impact Africa, and he joins me over the phone lines for this conversation. Doc, good morning. How are you doing? Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, by grace.
Great. Good to have you this morning for this all important conversation.
Very grateful.
Right. Okay. So let's get into it now. Maybe to start with, if you can briefly explain what a zero tariff deal really means and how it typically works between two trading countries, just for the sake of our listeners.
Thank you very much. By and large, we are looking at a strong bilateral relations between Ghana and China. And for some time now, you realize that Ghana equally want to champion domestication by also supporting its agri-businesses and agro-processing. So this zero tariffs business portfolio between Ghana and China means that the product that Ghana will export to the Chinese market will not attract any form of penalty. And that will help us to be able to profile our local industries, local entrepreneurs, and local products for the Chinese international markets. What that means is that when you are exporting, you only export on those face values.
Okay.
But then when tariffs are imposed, then definitely you need to pay more taxes, in short. And that will reduce your profit margin as well as increasing your cost of production. And that may hinder much more businesses or make their products to be quite expensive. And once the products are quite expensive, it's likely that you have low patronage. And that may discourage businesses as well.
I see. So it's actually just it's going to take away a lot of things from us. But people have raised a lot of concerns, and very soon we're going to talk about that. But in the interim, what exactly, or what specific sectors or exports from Ghana are expected to actually benefit under this proposed zero tariff arrangement with China?
Well, it's a major concern, even though the breakdown has not been given out yet, but it will be focusing much more on agribusinesses and agro-processing, and that of local technologies and also petrochemical products. And so we are likely to see petrochemical products like this breadfruit and all others. Some will be processed right here in Ghana, and that will be exported to the Chinese market. But we also want to ensure that it will not be an exportation of our raw materials, but rather a processed or finished products.
And that particular aspect, just because you brought it up, is something that a lot of people have actually spoken about, that even if we're going to get into this particular this deal, Ghana currently doesn't really do a lot of processed goods, and so it's going to be the raw materials that we are still going to push out there, and it won't even yield much. But before we get into those details properly, how does this particular agreement differ from previous tariff agreements or trade arrangements, really, that we've had with China?
Well, the previous tariffs with China and other multilateral organizations, you realize that tariffs were imposed. So when tariffs were imposed, that will increase your cost of production as well, because definitely it's going to be an extra cost to you. So it's like you wanted to sell a product from maybe from Accra to Kumasi, and they are saying before the product gets to Kumasi, each container we are going to tax each container maybe 1 million Ghana cedis. So definitely that is going to increase your cost. So at the end of the day, the previous ones have really increased the price of our products in the world market. And most at times, maybe the quality is also not too high competitively. So the patronage becomes low. So if tariffs are going to be zero, then definitely it's going to reduce our financial burdens. And that the little money that we have quantified in terms of profits, I believe that is really going to help pushing businesses. And that will be the difference between the current one and the past ones. And if you even look at trade between Europe and that of America, recently even Donald Trump has imposed more tariffs.
Yeah.
So making our product more expensive. And once it's more expensive, definitely, and they have other alternative products. And so those alternative and substitute products definitely will be more patronized than our products. Once more tariffs are imposed, definitely it also discourages you, because you are going to spend much more on a particular unit product. And you realize that the expenditure you are going to incur sometimes becomes more than even the revenue you are going to get. So you just decide to forsake those businesses. So if China is coming with these new policies dimensions, definitely it's a welcome decision. We need to position ourselves strategically so that China don't eventually take advantage of that and decide to explore our system.
Right. So what do you think is motivating us, or what do you think is the motivating factor for both countries to actually pursue this deal at this particular time? And I'm asking that because you highlighted the fact that U.S. is imposing tariffs on countries. Could that be one of the reasons that China is going in for zero tariff, just so that they can position themselves better? What do you think?
Yes, if you look at local politics, we have NDC, NPP, CVP, and thereabouts.
Yeah.
And we also have international politics. And this international politics has to do with great nations and how they all navigate their ways into the smaller countries. And so currently it's like U.S. is at war, economic war with most countries, including Ghana. And so China wants to take advantage of that and undo whatever U.S. is doing. And so that will also attract some level of attention. And so everybody's fighting for his common interest. And Ghana must also fight for its interest. So fighting for our interest, we want policies and programs that will help us to develop our local economies. Because definitely if you are going to get a market that will export our products and produce, definitely that is going to help us to develop our local products and develop our local potentials, develop our local businesses, and even work on the local content policy laws.
I see.
So strategically, it's the war between China and U.S. that have created this noble platform for us.
Okay, so for China, they are trying to actually position themselves well. Do you think we are also motivated by some factor to go into this deal?
Yes, if you look at the concept of the African Continental Free Trade Area, definitely Ghana has become the headquarters of the AFTA.
Yeah.
So being the headquarters of AFTA, we need to develop our local entrepreneurs, our local products. So the new businesses that we have discovered, definitely we need markets for them. You know, in the time past, I think we have a difficulty in accessing international markets for our produce. And that have really discouraged most people, most businesses. So now that we have the platform to export more, I think we need to do our homework very well as a country and look at the product that we can really sell, especially those that have comparative advantage and absolute advantage, and be able to prepare these products for economic development. Because once we export, definitely we are going to have favorable balance of payments. And once we have favorable balance of payments, invariably it's going to influence the stability of the local currency, the cedi. And once the cedi stabilizes more, then we improve upon the local economy, and that will also navigate to the improvement of the welfare of the citizens. So it's a very good opportunity for us, but it all depends on how we utilize the system.
Well, very soon we're going to talk about how ready we are and even the economic opportunities that there are in this. We'll try to break that down very well. But look, you mentioned ACTA. I want to know, does this deal align with the objectives of ACTA?
Yes, definitely. But ACTA's concept is quite different from what we have seen in China. ACTA is mainly a trade between African countries and also to promote these trade values and also products that are produced in these countries to their neighboring countries. Yeah. So it's like ACTA, you cannot import goods from China to Ghana and resell those goods to Togo or Benin. No, you can only sell goods that are produced in Ghana to Togo and Benin. That is the concept of AFTA. But in this case, China will open its doors to the products that will be coming from Ghana specifically. And so if you are able to maybe produce some fruit juice and all of this, definitely those products will be showcased in the Chinese market. And definitely, once they are also interested in having Africa as their next neighbor, definitely they will patronize our goods. And if they fail to patronize our goods, we also take the necessary steps.
I see. But do you think we've actually even taken advantage of ACTA that much for our exports? Because I know it's over 1 billion. I mean, we have 54 countries and the market is very huge in this part of the world. AFTA is actually it was touted as a game changer. It's been touted as a game changer. Do you think we've taken advantage of this particular market to even be looking at expanding to other markets like China?
No, we've not taken advantage of the AFTA policy fully because I was part of the technical advice committee for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Ghana chapter, when before it was fully commenced. And so our argument is that we needed to develop the potentials of our local areas. If you look at the trade among African countries, it's just around 18%. But if you look at that of the European Union, it's close to 70%. And so Africa is still lacking behind. In terms, I believe generally we have a wrong or erroneous impression. We never patronize anything from African countries. But anything from the European countries we think is the best.
Is it? Yeah.
And so that notion and that impression is still there. We believe that even the goods that are home use, that have been used by white man, is still better than those that have been produced brand new in Ghana or Africa. And so that notion continues to fight us. So we need a strong public education. And AFTA is not doing much in those areas. They need to recruit much more economists to be able to do that. Now, we seem not to have a blueprint as to how the implementation of AFTA should be. But I suggest that we can just do this simply by setting up new departments, marketing departments, research and marketing departments in our various embassies across the African continent. Now, these research and marketing departments will now be able to, like for instance, if Ghana have embassy in Nigeria, this marketing department of our embassy in Nigeria will find out the market demands of Nigerians vis-a-vis the products that we have in Ghana. So if you have a particular product in Ghana that maybe Nigerians are in need of, then we'll be able to channel those informations to those businesses
The
right here in
exporters and
Ghana
all
to
of that.
produce more to meet those markets exactly. But we don't have those systems. And so people are producing, they don't really know where
to send them.
exactly the market demands are. And so demand creates provision and provision satisfy wants. So we really need to strategically plan. I think the partisan politics has override or overshadow what exactly we need to do as economic development issues. And so I believe that is where we need to concentrate and have much more attention. If you look at Airtel Tigo, for instance, we can be able to propel Airtel Tigo and that of the Vodafone and others and add value to them and even sell to other neighboring countries. If you look at our energy sector, power supply, we can be able to invest into energy and power and be determined that Ghana can provide electricity to all West African countries. It can be an investment. And so I think we are not really reprofiling the economy well. And our leaders need to sit upright. But I believe that the agenda that the president has taken with China is a laudable one. It can be a game changer depending on where we stand and how we roll it out.
All right. Still on the after conversation. Now, what the ideas you're sharing are very laudable. And I'm sure that, our leaders actually know some of these things. Just that the implementation has become a problem. And you mentioned the fact the political will as one of the things that is actually probably slowing us. Now, I've seen economists also talk about the fact that we aren't processing a lot, even of our goods. So, for instance, cocoa, gold, and all of that, we are not processing them. And so, because of that, we are unable to send them to African markets. Because if you want to export, say, cocoa to another country, and Cote d'Ivoire is also doing the same thing, they're also producing the raw materials. How then do you actually even sell to other parts of the world? Because how then do you sell to other parts of Africa? Because some of the African countries themselves do not even have any processing machines and all of that to also even handle that. Do you think that is one of the challenges that we face?
Well, processing our primary products is essential. Diversification is key to economic development.
Yeah.
I think that we can even look at the internal economy. Processing cocoa alone, we could have developed so much nutritious values.
Yeah.
So beside the meal that we take, we could have developed cocoa into so many things. But we are not doing so. And our food is only banku, akpele, and kinki. That's all. And so it's like the short-term development plan, the political campaigns run by political parties is really a troubling situation, because definitely political manifesto is only for a short-term relief, and it's not sustainable. And so politicians are also in haste to be able to galvanize financial resources for the next election. And so politicians will never like to roll out a long-term development plan. That is why we're supposed to develop the potentials and the capacity of the National Development Planning Commission. And this National Development Planning Commission will be able to help us to plan for the country better, rather than leaving the development of the country in the hands of political manifesto. And so once we succeeded doing that, having a long-term development plan, definitely all these issues will be captured and provisions will be made. And it's only then that we'll be able to put Ghana on its sound footing.
All right, Doc, we're going to continue the conversation. Just please kindly hold on for me. Let me announce the phone lines, just in case anybody wants to join the conversation. If you want to join the conversation, please feel free to send us your thoughts and questions and all of that on 0544321019, 0544321019. And then we give you the opportunity. I get to read your message for you. Also, you can call us on 03039566641, 03039566641, and then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. All right. We're talking about the zero tariff deal that has been hinted on by the president John Dramani Mahama between Ghana and China. And that is actually going to be finalized by end of this month. And so we're asking the question whether it's a game changer for us or it is something that we need to be concerned about. And so that's what we are talking about. And my guest this morning is Dr. Samuel Worlanyo Mensah. He's a senior economist at Greater Impact Africa, and he's having this conversation with me here. All right, Doc, let's continue. And I want us to look at the economic opportunities that there will be or that will come out from this particular deal. Do you think this could be a chance for us to, you were talking about diversification a while ago. Do you think this will be a chance for us to diversify our exports base beyond raw materials?
Exactly, but we need to do some economic and social engineering in the sense that if we are going to sign this agreement, for how long? So the longevity of this, the longevity of this contract is key. So if zero tariff agreement will be for 10, 15, or 20 years, definitely it's going to help us to plan the economy better. And I believe the president's vision of also the big push, then that will also be factored in. But if it's just going to be a yearly renewal, then definitely it's something that is going to cause some form of economic worries to us. So I believe the time frame for this contract is key.
But so you align more to long term, something long term.
Exactly. If it's not long term, then definitely it's going to be a political program. And once it's a political program, meaning citizens cannot really benefit from it. And it will be more or less of a political slogan than an economic reality.
Right. So are you saying that if we look at long term, it will help us to be able to diversify our exports base, beyond raw materials? Is that what you're saying?
Because we don't have much more resources. The technological strength to outsmart these developed countries. So the only way we can monitor and be able to take advantage is when it is a long term. Because China have a lot of resources. When they are giving us zero tariff, they are also expecting same from us. And they already have the technological strength, those production capacities to be able to inflate our market. So if it's a long term, definitely it's just going to be an advantage to them over us, because we'll end up opening our markets to them, and they'll take advantage of that and collapse our local economy.
Okay, we'll come to the challenges really, so that you can throw some more light on what you just said. But how might this agreement really help Ghanaian exporters access China's large consumer market?
By and large, both producers and exporters are going to benefit. Well, what's the essence of business? A business is for you to be able to produce to meet the market demands. And so if there are no markets for you, then definitely you'll be stranded.
Yeah.
And so once this policy comes, it's going to really ginger producers and exporters. Now, producers will now be able to have a larger market to meet. And so they'll begin to produce in large scale. And these large scales means that they need more hands, so more manpower will be employed. So once more manpower is employed, definitely we are reducing the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Exactly, and the amount of money that the government also spent on security agencies, because when people are unemployed, they engage in social vices, stealing, armed robbery, prostitution, and all of this. And so once they have a meaningful job to do, you realize those social vices will reduce, and government expenditure will also reduce drastically. And those reductions can be channeled into productive sectors of the economy, or even provide infrastructure. Now, that is one. Two, once that companies are producing in large scale, definitely meaning that they are going to pay more taxes. And when they pay more taxes, government is also going to get more revenue. So once government also gets more revenue, they will now have more money to do infrastructure. And you realize we already have infrastructure deficit as a country. So government will be able to mitigate those infrastructure deficits. And once government provide the infrastructure, definitely it improve upon the welfare of citizens. And so the living condition and standard of living will get better, whilst the cost of living will reduce. So definitely, invariably, this policy will really going to help ordinary citizens.
Yeah.
In short,
I see.
Because at the end of the day, it narrows down to the welfare of citizens.
So it's a chain. It's a chain of opportunities that we're going to see. But you were talking about employment. What kind of employment opportunities could actually emerge from this deal? I mean, if local production and exports increase.
Well, we can look at the cotton industry as well. We'll be able to produce more, invest into this, and also value addition. If you look at shea butter and others, not only cocoa and gold, shea butter and all others, we'll be able to produce more and meet those large market demands. Chinese markets are in need of cassava because they use cassava to produce so many drinks. So we can also go into cassava farming, like what former President Kufuor started some years ago, Ayensu, cassava farming and all others. And so we could have gone into those commercial farmings. Then we also look at the agro-processing, our vegetables and that of the fruits will add value to them, make them food use and all of this. We have a lot of market for them. Then we also look at the local technologies like what Apususafu Kantaka is doing. With that, I believe that we'll be able to take advantage of that. Then we look at the pharmaceutical industry as well. It's not every medicine that will be produced in China because of the comparative advantage and absolute advantage of availability of raw materials. So those that we have the raw materials over here, we produce to meet their market. Then we also look at the petrochemical industry. China is huge. So we can bring China investors into Ghana to come and invest into the petrochemical sector. Okay. So that these engine oils, breakthroughs and all of this will be produced right here in Ghana. And you know what that means for the economy. Yeah. We are going to set up the economy as an industrial and manufacturing hub and as an aviation industry and be able to propel it, create more opportunities for citizens, more jobs for citizens, and citizens will be paid better. Now, these days, people are working in factories and they are being paid meager salaries because the companies are also incurring so much cost to be able to run their factories.
Yeah.
But then if we are able to galvanize a lot of financial resources and bring investors to come invest in capital ventures, definitely we are going to make the economy one of the world class. Next to that of the South African economy or Moroccan's economy. And that is what Ghanaians will begin to enjoy, and even those that are in the diaspora begins to return home.
Right. So we're going to see a lot of, the opportunities are a lot. So we are looking at employment, we're looking at getting access to the large Chinese market. And also you just hinted investors coming on board to also invest in the country. If they are seeking to access the Chinese market as well. So looks like there's so much that we are going to get from there. Now, but my question is, are we ready? Do you think that Ghanaian exporters are adequately prepared to take advantage of this tariff-free access?
They might not know the details of this kind of arrangement. So it borders on leaders to do public education and orientation. So we need to resource National Commission for Civic Education and the Exporters and Importers Association. I think these are a few institutions that we can support to be able to educate their members, because members are already in these blocks. And so instead of us to be doing general public education, we can narrow it specifically to these organizations, and that is going to help us.
So there's a need for a lot of education, but you don't think we are ready yet?
As a country, we seem not to be too serious about national issues. And everybody is just fighting for his pocket. As a matter of fact, these are international policies, and we need serious minds and also a strong political will. Now that the president is demonstrating these skills and abilities, let's rally behind him. And they should make it more of a national issue than a partisan issue. Because if you make it partisan issue, close to half of Ghanaians will not buy into those ideas because they belongs to different political divide. But if you make it a national issue, use people who are neutral in character and not party foot soldiers, definitely others will also come on board.
I see. Well, I also know that of course, if you want to export to China, then you need to make sure that your standards are on point, your certifications are also on point, because all of these things are required to export to China. How well are we positioned to meet those standards and certifications?
You see that the Ghana Standard Authority or Ghana Standard Board has been doing quite well. So we need just to ensure that those whose product are to be exported outside goes through some rigorous training again and sensitization. I think Ghana Standard Authority is doing quite well. And I believe that if they are able to maintain those standards, definitely our products will not be rejected in the world market.
Yeah. But do we have the logistics as well? The logistics and the infrastructure, the ports, the transport, the storage to actually support increased exports at this point?
We don't have enough, but then I believe in the technology transfer. So that can also be an avenue for us to explore. We'll be able to get others from developed countries to come and partner with us. That's why we have the PPP agreement. So public-private partnerships.
Right.
The private must not only be Ghanaian private. It can also be foreign direct investment. So this foreign direct investment can also be in technological transfer. And so if we do that, like for instance, I see no reason why we should build an interchange, and after that, the next one should be built by white man. Now, if you have an interchange contract that is given to a white man, then you also have local engineers that will be supporting. Because we have local content policy, you bring the local engineers also on board. So by the time they finish 2, 3, 4 years, the local engineers should be able to build the next one for Ghana, and at a very reduced cost. But I think we are, because of political expediency, we just roll out policies that everybody will be able to get some coins into his pocket, and we just leave issues like that. So we can invest into technological transfer and be able to get companies and industries abroad to come down and help us to propel. Because if you are talking about value addition, it's not easy. And if you have a technology that will not give you that large-scale production, definitely you are going to incur cost. The minimum production cost, the unit cost of production will be so high, and you can't survive. And so we need those technologies. We need those technologies from developed countries like China, whereby we can also. Why do we print elections campaign T-shirts from China?
Yeah.
It's because of the technologies. And so by now, if as a country we can't even do that, at least political parties should be able to fund those kind of projects for their followers. And after 2, 3 years, it becomes a national asset. But it's like everybody just fighting for his personal interest, and nobody really cares about national interest.
Anyway, well, 17 minutes after 9. This, hold on for me. 17 minutes after 9. This is Business Breakfast on Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, your leisure, and business platform. And this morning on our roundtable discussion, we're talking about the Ghana-China Zero Tariff deal that is probably set to take effect from November, because the president says that we're going to finalize that deal by the end of this month. And we want to know whether it's going to be a game changer. Is this something that the country is going to benefit from or not? And Dr. Sam Worlanyo Mensah, he's a senior economist at Greater Impact Africa, and he's my guest, and we're having this conversation. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, if you're enjoying the conversation, feel free to send us your thoughts on 0544321019, 054432 1019. You can as well call me on 03039 03039 and then we give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You can drop a comment on these platforms and we'll read them for you. Now, Doc, so we've spoken a bit about how ready we are, and it looks like from what you're saying, it looks like there's a lot to do to position ourselves to be able to take advantage of this, because at the end of the day, if we are giving, if this tariff actually goes through, this deal actually goes through, and now from maybe November we are supposed to start those things, it means that China is going to benefit, because as for them, they are already sending their things to this country, they are exporting already, and they are doing their business here. Then we will now have to begin to learn, like you said, begin to educate our people, and it will take us a long time to be able to actually catch up and benefit from this particular deals that we're talking about, because a lot of people might not be in the export sector as compared to China. And we'll be talking about the trade balances very soon. But what do you think government agencies like the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, and GIPC, how can these agencies actually help businesses leverage this opportunity?
Well, local businesses are likely to know and foresee the dangers or the challenges ahead. So I believe institutions like JPC and all others need to really educate their members. And educating their members, we need a strong legal engineering as well, because these businesses and transactions must all be backed by law. So if you don't have sufficient relevant international laws, treaties and conventions, then definitely when there are challenges, people are going to lose. Right. And so there should be strong legal engineering, legal agreements. Because if you are going to export to a particular market or a particular company decided to place an order, those orders must be backed by law. So if you don't have a strong legal system, and then definitely our people are going to make losses. Because if the goods that are in transit, assuming that there are crises to those goods that are in transit, who bore the cost? And all those things must be clearly spelled out in the agreement. So those conditions and the conditionalities must be carefully looked at. If not, people will just be exporting, and Chinese are quite smart.
Yeah,
they will set you up, and you realize that you find yourself in your own web, and there's nobody to blame. And Ghanaians businesses will come to square one. So we should have a very strong legal agreement backing these transactions. If not, then our people will be shortchanged. And once they are shortchanged, they'll be discouraged, and their businesses will also collapse.
I see. Right. So there's, the Ghana Export Promotion Agency and all of those institutions have roles to play. And for the legal aspect, I think it's also a very good call. But what role should private sector play in ensuring that we benefit fully from this deal? Do they have a role to play in the first place, and what role would that be?
So private sector is quite broad. So this kind of international treaties and protocols should always have government elements. And so if you don't have government element and you are going to export, if care is not taken, you may not be able to raise enough security. Because some of the products, when you export, it takes certain times for the receiving companies to pay you back. And so sometimes they are also wanted to find out whether your business is still valid, and also you are on sound footing. So in this case, government can serve as surety, and that of serving as collateral to most of the exporters. So meaning that government will have some level of control mechanisms, and monitoring mechanisms so that will give some level of assurance and credibility to our businesses.
Yeah.
But if you are just going as an ordinary business portfolio, it's likely you may face certain international challenges that if government is not part, it's very difficult for you to get a good assistance to be able to make a good case.
Okay, right. Doc, let's also talk about, we'll look at the challenges shortly, but one of the major things when it comes to exports and all of that is financing. How important is access to affordable financing for local producers, under this new trade environment?
Having accessibility to finance shouldn't be a major problem, but it's a problem because government is also borrowing from the local market. So in this case, if really we want to make these dreams a reality, then we advise government to desist from borrowing from the local markets. Because if you borrow from local markets, means you are borrowing from the local banks, the commercial banks, the universal banks.
Yeah.
Once government borrows, there will be no money left to help support small, medium, and large-scale enterprises. And so if government continue borrowing from the local banks, then these dreams will never be a reality. It will just be a mirage. And so we advise government to desist from borrowing from local banks. And also, we can also go into specialized banking. There should be specific banks that will be interested or in charge of managing the affairs of these small-scale, medium enterprises. So we can also do this specialization. Maybe National Investment Bank or any other bank will be assigned purposely to provide funding and support. And government will also be able to give some support from the consolidated fund in supporting this agenda. Because government is having the big push and government is signing this agreement. So if you sign this agreement, all the way forward, we need to create a platform for us to access credit. Because the kind of financial resources that goes into this kind of businesses is so huge that sometimes the private individuals cannot raise these finances. So we need the support from the local banks. And once you get a strong support from the local banks, so there is that high level of assurance that there are financial institutions backing your production. And that may also be a plus for you. So definitely, for us to be able to know that this policy will really work, government must stop borrowing from the local banks.
But I wonder how government will still be able to do their, finance their projects and all of that if they don't come to the domestic markets.
Well, they can float shares. They can float shares and all of that so that Ghanaians who buy into these ideas can invest. People can invest if government have a very good returns.
But
so
even the T-bill, look, even the T-bill market is struggling. Anyway,
simply because the economy is not stable. You see the city gaining strength. The next day the city is losing strength.
Yeah.
And so when the economy is running on that kind of seesaw, then definitely people will not have confidence in the system.
In the market.
Once investors don't have confidence in the system, nobody is willing to invest into an economy that is unstable, that cannot be predicted. And so that is why we urge the central bank and that of the finance ministry to work very hard to stabilize this economy as far as our currency is concerned. Because the currency fluctuations will definitely affect businesses.
Yeah.
Because if you owe $1, if you owe a company outside $1, then maybe you are owing like 11 cedis in cedi terms.
Yeah.
But if the cedi loses value and the cedi to $1 is 18 cedis, then meaning if you owe $1, you owe 18 cedis. And so these volatilities must be checked.
Yeah.
That is why when the dollar is losing value, let's allow it to lose value. Don't cry for the dollar that you are helping the dollar to be stable. No, allow it to lose value. The exporters who also enjoyed so many years should also be able to sacrifice for the ordinary citizens that constitute about 95% of the population. So also have their free lunch. You understand? So I'm believing that if the central bank is able to put its policies well, then definitely in the next 2 months, CD to a dollar should be around 9 cedis. And that will be very good for businesses to strive. Then based on that, when exporters are also going to export after the new year, the Christmas season, definitely we should be able to have a stabilized, a balanced economy.
Well, I mean, most people will not agree with you on that score, especially when you talk about the exporters actually currently sacrificing for the ordinary Ghanaian. I mean, they won't actually agree with you, Doc.
Well, if Ebolo inevitably when earlier received certificate one from torrential hostilities.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that, Doc.
I said Ebolo inevitably yours. When earlier received will extricate you from torrential hostilities.
Right.
So the length of a frog is known when it finally dies. You cannot, in this world, you cannot be on the winning side all the time. Even there are times God himself, his own people needs to lose battles.
That's true.
You understand?
Yeah.
So exporters cannot just be winning all the time. And about 95% of Ghanaian citizens will continue suffering simply because exporters who are businessmen, individuals, are making more money for themselves.
Yeah.
No. The country, that is why we have leaders. Leaders should be able to have laws, rules, regulations, policies, and programs that will help benefit the poor. Our mandate is to make life better for the poor. It's not to make the rich to be more richer. If the rich to be more richer, that system is already there. So we don't need leadership. But the leadership should be able to fight for the poor. So the moment our leaders fail to improve upon the welfare of citizens, then they have failed. Because if you look at the COVID time, nothing was working. So meaning that anybody who even did economics from SS level, who is well trained, can be a president. Can just be a president. But we need a good president for leadership, so that we can have a balanced, equitable distribution of resources and wealth.
Yeah.
But it's about some 5% or 2% of Ghanaians that are enjoying life all the time at the expense of others. And we can't allow this phenomena to continue.
All right. Okay, Doc, let's now let's come back to our trade deals conversation and talk about the challenges that there will be or that there could be. Now, some economists actually warn that this could deepen our trading balance with China. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely, because we will now have the platform to also infiltrate their markets. But Chinese, I said earlier on that they are very smart. If we are not smart enough, they can put a lot of treaties and conventions that will be an hindrance for us to export, even though their markets are open. And so our leaders who are going to craft this agreement, is going to be a whole agreement. And so this agreement we must not go and be drinking tea and beer whilst drafting this agreement. We must be there with a clear conscience and people who have the country at heart. So members of the economic management team should be up and doing. They should shine their eyes. If not, one single clause will disadvantage us.
So we need to look at that because we know China exports a lot into into this country. Now, if you're taking the tariffs away, then it means that they are going to push a lot of their things. But could those and their goods are usually cheaper. Could their cheaper goods entering our markets hurt Ghanaian industries in any way?
So sometimes we can also look at the different dimensions of Chinese product. When we are drafting the agreement, we can now go into specifications.
Yeah.
We can now decide that China should export more into Ghana by virtue of raw materials. And so if by virtue of raw materials that we can use to produce, then definitely that will not be a disadvantage. But if they are going to export products...
No, go ahead.
But if they are going to export products that we have comparative advantage, we have raw materials to produce same goods over here, then they are going to kill our business spirit.
But haven't we seen that, like, some stuff like that in the past with other trade agreements that we've had?
Yes, because of political experience, our politicians are not proactive. So they were only looking at those trades that they will be able to get some money for themselves. But now I think with the event of social media and all of this, more Ghanaians are abreast with current issues concerning bilateral agreements. So definitely, government shouldn't make this a secret agenda. They should make it an open policy so that we can all contribute and fight for the interests of Ghana.
But how do we avoid becoming just a market for Chinese goods? Because it's a big problem. It's a big problem, and I think it's very important that we talk about it. How do we avoid becoming just a market for their goods instead of a strong trading partner?
Basically, if you are not producing, you become a dumping ground.
Of course.
So the only way we can avoid is to produce. And our governments are not interested in production. They are only interested in services, because services will make people rich quicker, whilst government or ordinary citizens will suffer. So if we really want to stop Chinese or other European products from influencing our market, then definitely we need to produce. Why should Lebanese, why should Indians alone come and they will produce for our markets? And the politicians steal our money, they send it outside and go and build big houses, big mansions that could have built 3 or 4 factories right here in Ghana. I don't know. So our leaders, sometimes we have a problem. And when leaders are also their problems, then the citizens are equally problems, because meaning the citizens are not selecting or electing or voting for the right leaders.
The right people.
So we get what we want.
All right. So what do you think we should be doing? What kinds of safeguards or maybe review mechanisms should be built into this agreement to actually protect our interest as a nation?
I think we have enough laws. What we need is leadership and a strong political will. So President Mahama is showing some level of political will. Number one, he needs to sustain that. And 2, we also need to support him. Nobody should pray that he should fail so that he comes to power. We are all political animals, including myself, but I don't wish the government should fail, because when it fails in these 4 years, then many Ghanaians you are going to impound on their sufferings for the next 3 to 4 years. So let's all help the government. Let's all put our hand on deck and see it as our collective responsibility. It's a teamwork, as a collective responsibility. And if you see that way, then definitely we'll be fighting for the interests of Ghana and not individual interests.
Okay. Anyway, Doc, is there any way that this deal we're talking about could undermine our efforts to promote local industrialization, and made in Ghana products in any way?
Well, it's a two-edged sword. So once they are going to reduce their tariffs, definitely they will expect us to also do the same. But they have a stronger muscle in terms of market availability and market takeovers.
Yeah.
But then I believe that it also creates the platform for us to develop local potentials.
Mm.
So the various products that we have, we can develop them for foreign markets. So we must not only see it as an opportunity for China to dump its products on us, but also an opportunity for us to rekindle our minds of developing new products. So that is why I wasn't happy when the government canceled the past government's one district, one factory. Because you realize that it's now that you needed one district, one factory. So why do you cancel one that we have not put alternative programs in place? So
right.
that was a very big political mistake.
But
so the one district, one factory now, we should be able to identify various components, develop the potentials in local areas, and add value to them. That's one district, one factory. And that is a concept that China and China, India, Germany, and Japan have used. It was a concept developed by India in 1978, fully launched in 1980. So as at early 80s, China was a huge village. Nobody travels to China. People only travel to Hong Kong and others. Nobody travels to China. But China implemented this policy in early 90s, and it has worked for them. One district, one factory concept, to be specific. So almost every locality, like we have ward, political parties, they have ward executives. Every ward, there is a factory.
Yeah.
Every ward, there is a factory. That is how China develops. And now, China, almost every house, there is a factory. They are producing something. And so, unless we move to that level, and we need to involve traditional authorities and local governments, make it more comprehensive. If we make it more comprehensive, our local governments, our district assemblies will start developing their own budgets and even traveling outside the country to seek budget support. And it will be done. These are simple things we can do as a country. But people are into politics for various reasons. People are into politics to make more money for themselves. That is why the attention is not on how to develop the country, but attention is how best they will be able to manipulate to get more money for themselves. So even we can also look at the political presidential term and make it one term, because this kind of 2 terms and 3 terms and issues like this, all the time everybody wants to do something to please others. But if it's one term that you win and in the next 7 years, you are not going to seek anybody's mandate, definitely your conscience will work proper than the one that you'll be going back to beg people again for favor, for consideration. And that will make you to bend so many rules.
Well, actually, there are advantages and disadvantages to that, because actually they're even pushing for longer terms, saying that they don't have enough time to do the work that they want to do. And so if we reduce it to a single term, then it becomes quite problematic.
A single term can be 6 years, not just 4 years. 4 years is too short. A single term of 6 years or 7 years, it's okay. So we are changing government, we are changing presidents. We are not seeing much improvement in the welfare of citizens. And elections over and over too is very expensive.
That's true.
For the Electoral Commission to organize one election now, it could have built one factory each in every district throughout the country. So just look at that. We are not putting priorities right. I think the democracy is good, but the way we are approaching it and implementing it is the disadvantages are more than advantages.
Right. Okay. Well, 43 minutes after 9. We have about 17 minutes to go. This is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. And this morning we're having a conversation on the Ghana-China zero tariff deal that is supposed to be finalized by the end of this month, according to the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Well, we are looking at whether it is actually going to help us as a country in terms of trade or not. And I'm speaking to Dr. Worlanyo Mensah. He's a senior economist at the Center for Greater Impact Africa, and he's helping us have this conversation this morning. If you have any messages, please feel free to send them. And the number to text is 0544321019, 0544321019, or you can call us on 030395661, 030395661. And then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. You can send us a comment. You can drop a comment on our live stream on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia, and then I will read them for you as well. Doc, let's try and continue, and then we can wrap up very soon. I'm wondering how might we as a country handle the challenge of product competitiveness, which I believe is a very big issue, especially in terms of pricing and quality. How might we handle that challenge?
We need to really put the contract or the policy into contingents. So we need to have contingencies, so we need to have experts, not political party activists. We need to have experts that are quite neutral, but there are experts that are also very partisan. And when they are taking decisions, they take those decisions just to favor the party. And so we need to look at experts that are quite neutral. Now, if you are able to do this, then each component will be able to, because if you look at the continental free trade, we have trade informations, factor market integrations, trade finance, and all those things.
Yeah.
And we have rules of origin and all others. So we need to have experts in all these key areas. Then we'll be able to develop the profile around it. But if we just leave it for one particular person or group, just a small committee, 5-6 committee to work on it, the moment they lack certain technicalities, is definitely going to be a disadvantage to us. So holistically, I think that even if they have a committee, that committee is going to coordinate the activities of the various subcommittees that will be made up of technical people and also professionals. Once you are able to do this, they will be able to touch every aspect of the contract and the policy, and definitely Ghana will be on the winning side.
All right. But do you think that this could actually influence our trade relations with other major partners like EU, the UK, or even the US?
Now everybody now will now be accepting Africa and also allowing Africa to trade with them reasonably. It's going to be a competition among our foes. And so definitely everybody will do things to attract the interest and to win the interest of Africa. So it's definitely going to be an advantage to us.
So do you think that we're going to see maybe the EU or the UK even follow suit by actually thinking of maybe a zero tariff deal with us as a country?
They will not only look at the economic aspect, some will be looking at even in terms of telecommunication and all others. Other continents will also follow suit. European markets will follow suit. America will even reconsider its decision concerning Ghana.
So we're likely to see that. How soon?
Oh, definitely in less than 4 months.
Okay.
Yes, because if decisions are not taken and Ghana has repositioned itself, it's very difficult to reverse.
I see.
So we're hearing the President of America making certain utterances in the coming days.
But Trump,
you'll be hearing European Union making certain utterances in the coming days.
Because this is a major one. But Trump, the way President Trump's posture is, I'm not too sure if we are really going to see anything from there.
President Trump is not a difficult person. He always puts information to test what is. If you react positively, he also adjusts his policies. That's the kind of strategy he's using.
He tests the waters with his leg.
Exactly. And he wanted to see how economists will react.
Yeah.
Then the way you react will determine what steps he should be taking.
I think he did that with the tariffs that he actually placed on the countries. If you remember very well, you realize that he actually announced that, then they changed the date, and then they changed it again later.
Exactly. And most of the times what they do now is that if the president make decrees, those decrees, if they realize they don't want the president to alter it or reverse it, professionally, tactically, they send that issue to court. And the court will now do alteration. And it doesn't seem like it's the same president who is coming to eat back his vomit.
Yeah.
So that is the strategy they are adopting.
Wow.
So President wants it that way, so that it looks more professional and it looks more diplomatic rather than he coming back to say, "Well, I'm sorry for doing this and that."
Yeah. Oh, politics. Anyway, very interesting. But Doc, you were talking about long-term positioning a while ago. Let's try and touch on the long-term outlook. What do you think? What indicators should policymakers really track to measure whether the deal is successful?
Well, government cannot just handle it at the cabinet level or the presidency. If this deal will be successful, there are various institutions, state institutions, that handles trade and development as far as our economy is concerned. Government should be able to relinquish this authority and delegate this power to them. But if government is going to manage this at the presidency, it is going to fail.
But I'm even looking at the specific indicators to actually see whether we are doing well.
But if you are looking at specific indicators, unless the policies be rolled out, when the policies be rolled out, then we conduct the SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses. You understand?
Yeah.
Then it's then that we conduct impact analysis, social impact, economic impact, people-centered impact, and all of this. But if it has not been rolled out, then it's just an imagination. So the policy must be rolled out. Then we look at its efficiency and efficacy.
Right.
But meanwhile, that is why I'm saying that if it will be successful unless we hand over these policies to be managed by institutions, Ghana Exports Promotion Center and all others, rather than we seeing this policy being managed at the presidency. So once we have those indicators that it will be managed by state institutions, then definitely there is an assurance that it will succeed. And the other thing too is power. If we don't have availability of power, how sustainable power? How can
we produce the local?
Our people produce?
Yeah.
Because we need power to produce. We need power to produce. Then we also have good legal regimes. If our courts, justice process, and judicial procedures are flawed, full of corruption, and people cannot have access to justice, people cannot have access to accountability, definitely it's not going to work. So we need to do this local engineering, reprofile the economy, put more structures in place, then they'll become indicators that in reality this work. But if it's just going to be like a partisan policy, a partisan program, when the party leaves, then the vision also dies, the policy also dies.
Yeah. Okay, Doc, I think we'll wrap up now. I don't know if you have any final words to put across before we go.
My final message is that it's a laudable idea, but we all have a collective role to play.
Okay.
Both civil society organizations, governments, and also
trade unions,
various interest groups. We all have a role to play, including even media.
Yeah.
We shouldn't just sit at the fence just to discourage this, because it will not do us any good. The initiative that the president has taken is welcoming, so let's all support him.
Okay.
And once we all support him, definitely, when we win, then Ghana wins.
Right. Okay, Doc, thank you so much. Thank you. I am really, really grateful that you joined us this morning for this conversation. Really, really grateful. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us.
I'm equally grateful. And thanks to your great team for doing a great job for Mother Ghana.
Thank you too, Doc. All right. Please do enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully we get to speak again another time.
Very grateful.
All right. Okay. That was Dr. Samuel Worlanyo Mensah. He is a senior economist at the Center for Greater Impact Africa. And he joined me this morning for our roundtable discussion. And it's been a very great conversation. I have enjoyed myself. I mean, learning a lot and getting insight into what exactly this whole deal is about and how we can actually take advantage of it as a nation. And Doctor says that there are so many things. Every one of us has a role to play in there, from civil society organizations, from to media, to everybody at all, in making sure that this particular deal is not something that we will, that will make us suffer at the end of the day. As a country, we should be able to benefit. And the Chinese are very smart, and we need to make sure that we go into this particular agreement fully informed and ready to actually take advantage of that. And so we need to put in place a lot of things in terms of factories and all of that. If you are interested in exports and imports, there's a good opportunity for you. You may want to look at exporting something. And we look forward to the details of this particular agreement between Ghana and China. The president says it's going to be finalized by end of this month. We hope to read what the agreement is about. And I hope that they make it available for us to know what exactly is in there. But of course, that's how we wrap up today on the Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM, right here on your lifestyle, your leisure, and business platform. It's been great driving you from 6:15 till now. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you've learned a lot as well. We're back again tomorrow for more interesting conversations.